on Cyprus. It also marked the second strike in several days in Beirut itself, and it really signaled a willingness to operate deeper inside Lebanese territory to eliminate any future threats by Hezbollah.
The Trump administration has been sending warnings to Iran over its nuclear program. How is Iran responding?
Well, Iran is rejecting the U.S. pressure and the offer of negotiations. In the meantime, it continues to expand its nuclear capabilities. Tehran has been insisting its program is peaceful, but it really is looking to try to get a nuclear weapon right now. So Iran is stepping up its rhetoric, military drills, sending a defiant message that it won't be coerced. However, some believe there are back-channel diplomacy contacts going on through Europe. But right now, we're coming to the end of the two-month deadline that President Trump had set when he said negotiations that could come in a few weeks. And then also reports say that Iran, in the meantime, is closer to military-grade material. So right now, it seems like these boundaries of negotiations that people talk about could be closing. In the meantime, the U.S. is sending more assets to the region, more THAAD anti-missile systems. So right now we see both U.S. and Iran preparing for could be a momentous confrontation.
Well, here we go. Tension rises. Okay, 17 minutes before the hour, and Jerry is reporting from somewhere in outer space.
With continued showery conditions across the top of our region and chilly overnight temperatures, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, showers likely mainly this afternoon with daytime highs in the low to mid-50s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with showers likely mainly after 1 p.m. with daytime high temperatures in the low 50s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, with snow levels rising from 2,200 feet to around 3,000 feet. In central Oregon, partly to mostly sunny skies for Prineville and Bend with daytime highs in the mid to upper 40s and Sun River near 41. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny with a high near 53 and a light west wind. Along the Oregon coast, showers likely with daytime high temperatures in the low 50s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. A chance of showers and breezy with daytime highs near 52 in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, isolated showers in near 53 in Grants Pass. Partly sunny in Medford with a high near 53 and Ashland near 50. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny with a daytime high temperature near 47. Into northern California, partly sunny with a high near 49 in Wairika, sunny with highs near 63 in Redding and Chico, sunny in Sacramento with a high near 64 and a light northwest wind this afternoon. In the Bay Area, sunny with daytime highs near 63 in Santa Rosa and Napa, sunny in San Francisco with a high near 61 and a northwest wind gusting up to 23 miles per hour, and today in San Jose, sunny, breezy, and near 62. It's a look at your Wednesday weather on the Dove.
Okay, good morning to you. Beautiful day at the top of the hill. Might even be a little on the bluebird side. Some leftover weather, but for the most part, Mount Ashland is snowed in.
Mm-hmm. Which it should be.
That's the way it should be.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, well, speaking of outer space, Butch Wilmore, who is one of the astronauts who was rescued by Elon Musk and brought to Earth after an extended stay there, unexpected. During a press conference, he said something that was fascinating, I thought. He actually, keep my comments for afterwards. He actually ended up going to church while in space. He was attending services through the communications that they have available. And so during the press conference, he talked about that and also why his faith is so important to him.
The Word of God continually infilling me. I need it. My pastors are the finest pastors on or off, in this case, the planet. And to tie in and to worship with my church family was vital. I mean, it's part of what makes me go. And not only that, I also tied into Grace Baptist Church in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. A buddy of mine is an elder there and a pastor there, and I would watch their service as well every single week. And it was invigorating. It was part of what I need as a believer in Jesus Christ to continue that focus. It assists me day in and day out because I need that fellowship, even though it's fellowship from afar. And it's not like being fellowship up close, but still I need it. Life is our life, all of our lives are bound up in many things. For me, and it's faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He is the end-all, be-all. He forgives us. He teaches us when his word says about being content in all situations because he's working out his plan and his purposes for his glory and our good. And I believe that because the Bible says that. And that's the message that I lived. We lived it. My family lived it. We taught them these things throughout their lives. And that's contentment. It doesn't mean always happy. It doesn't mean there's no pain. But content and knowing that God's in control, sovereign God's in control, working out his plan and his purpose. And you might say, well, goodness, that wasn't a very good thing. God did that. Well, he's working out his plan and his purpose. I mean, who's lived a life without pain? I mean, no one. That's the nature of existence. Who's lived a life without sorrow? Who's lived a life without challenges? It grows us. We learn from it. And that's the focus that I try to take from it. Is what's the Lord trying to show me? And what's he teaching me? Because there's so much to learn in life, and there's so much to learn from this evolution. And I think I know my daughters are better off for it, and I'm grateful for that. And I think we are as well.
Wow, preached.
Yeah.
Wow.
He did attend some services.
Really?
So it is interesting because he did get stranded in space for 9 months instead of just a few days. He was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And to have that outlook that his daughters are actually better off having gone through this experience. It's wonderful. You can really see God's hand.
Yeah, weekend visit turned into 9 months. Yeah, good stuff all the way around. You know what we ought to do? We ought to send all the astronauts a future link to theDove, so when they're up there, they can watch us.
They can.
Yeah.
And maybe a subscription to Word for You Today.
Yeah, we'll just send it up for the next going around.
On the next Elon's shuttle.
Little peanut butter and jelly. We'll be right back.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry, LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your generous giving to theDove.
We as a staff are so grateful you make it possible for us to broadcast hope.
All across the Dove TV and radio network.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your support is touching and changing many lives.
And bringing much needed news and information
from a Christian worldview.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for believing in, praying for, and supporting theDove. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Well, a lot of things in the news. What kind of seems to be out of the news right now is, Putin, Zelensky, and Trump in Ukraine. It doesn't seem to be headlining these days, but it's still very much out there. And Tammy Bruce is talking with Stuart Varney there about the president's unhappiness with all of this, and here's what she had to say.
But I think that certainly with Secretary Rubio's involvement in the negotiations between us with summits with Russia separately and then with Ukraine separately, and the involvement of the United States through President Trump's vision and leadership, that, we are serious about this. This is a hallmark of the administration itself. The president has made it clear he wants peace. The carnage has got to stop. This is effectively a dynamic where it's a meat grinder, and that the world wants this situation to stop. The president's point of view, the nature of what he sees with the bird's eye view of the nature of what's happening on this planet, what works, what doesn't. We saw that he understands what works, not just in his first term, but in his life as a businessman, being the best deal maker in the world. He knows what people are reacting to, and the good news is that while the previous administration did not speak to Russia at all, President Trump understands that you've got to discuss things with individuals directly. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, understands the imperative of seeing people face to face and engaging with them for the sake of what the world wants, for the sake of humanity, and for trying to make sure that people who are alive today will be alive tomorrow. That is this administration's goal. And if anybody can make it happen, there's really only one person who can, and that is Donald Trump. So whatever his decisions are, I think obviously all the players in this situation should take seriously.
Okay, well, it's just I can't imagine getting up and having 900 things on your plate and you have to make a decision about all of them today. But that's going on. The big question is real estate involved in this deal? Is NATO involved in this deal? I mean, what is it really all about? We don't know yet.
We don't. We just hear bits and pieces.
Yeah, bits and
pieces. You can only imagine, like you said, there's probably some of those things mentioned. All right. Well, the Trump administration has been very transparent. Not only are they holding a lot of press conferences and meetings with the journalists, they're also opening up their doors to the facilities that they use. And didn't sound right. To the White House.
The buildings.
Let's just fast forward. President Trump, Perry, stop.
When we come back from the story, I stole something from the facilities. I'll tell you about that.
Okay, please. Okay, so President Trump gave a tour of his Oval Office, and Susan Wiles, who is his chief of staff, also took Laura Trump for a tour of her office, not facility, in the West Wing.
Well, welcome to my office.
Thank you. Got a nice
Meet
team
Sarah
out here.
And Cam.
Hello.
One of the great things about the White House, and I'm sure you remember, is these pictures.
Yes.
Every day, or at least every week, they change White House photos.
That's so
that's
cool.
kind of a fun treat.
Yeah. Oh, look at the one of you out the window. That's cool.
That's Mark Vogel coming back from Russia.
Incredible. And you've got some nice neighbors you were telling me about.
I do. I have the National Security Advisor down the hall and the Vice President next door.
There we go.
Yeah,
nice. All right, let's check it out. See what we got here. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know.
I pinch myself in the morning.
I ever came in here. Oh, and you have a beautiful fire?
Yeah, our fire days are probably dwindling because it's getting warm.
It came like this, or how did we do this office?
Actually, not. My predecessor, who was a wonderful guy, had a particular style, bought all his own furniture. So when I got here, it was empty. And so, while daunting, it allowed me to kind of...
You had to start from scratch
Yes,
in here.
So I got to really put my own touch on it. I have a table that seats 8 because there are always 8 at it. And we start early and go till, late. A lot of the staff have young children. So we try to pack a lot into the middle of the day, and then I can always work before or after. So we try to accommodate that. But this is a place of really good meetings. The president's been down here once, which is more than he ever went down here in the past administration. So it's a busy place, but we have such a great staff. The cabinet's very comfortable here. One of my goals was to make sure that it's an office, but it's where people really sort of make big decisions for the world. So I want them comfortable, I want them happy, and I tried to make an office where that could happen.
She also has a beautiful patio outside her office.
I saw the pictures when they took Laura from Fox into the Oval Office and showed him around. And he has the picture of the Declaration of Independence in there.
Oh, that's very special, yeah. So tell me the facility story.
Well, quickly, I was chairman and got invited to the White House, and we were downstairs where they have all these meetings rooms. That was famous during the Clinton administration. So I went to the restroom. Mm-hmm. Well, in the restroom, there's cameras everywhere.
In the restroom?
Yes, everywhere. There's cameras everywhere. So, not in the stalls, but they're there. Okay. But sitting on the counter were these beautiful almost linen, but they're not. They're paper napkins with the presidential seal on them to wipe your hands when you're done. So I picked up about 10 of those, and I held it up to the camera. I put them in my pocket, and I walked out, and this guy out there, he said, "It's okay, people do it all the time."
You're open about it.
So somewhere in my memoirs, I have these.
It's going to come back and bite
these
you,
hand
Gary.
towels from the White House. All right, we'll be right back.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
What if your next ride was more than just a ride?
What if it was an epic adventure filled with unforgettable memories?
At Panoramic Moto Tours, we take you beyond the ordinary, offering curated routes, privately guided with all the details handled.
Our passion is to share the joy of riding incredible roads, exploring new sights and towns, and connecting with others and sharing our stories.
Sound good to you?
What are you waiting for? Let's create your custom tour, or join us on one of our upcoming tours.
The Lost Coast and Trinity Alps, May 16th through the 19th, or the Oregon Coast and Cascades Tour, June 22nd through the 26th. Just click the Tours tab at panoramicmototours.com or call 541-622-3844.
panoramicmototours.com. Your next adventure starts here.
The Bible, when you think about it, is the ultimate group project. Think about this. It was written by over 40 different authors over a period of 1,500 years. Authors came from various countries. Most of them didn't know one another. They used a variety of styles, and yet it all fit together perfectly. It has one unified theme, and that theme is Jesus Christ.
The Dove Spring Boost pray about helping us reach our $128,000 goal during our remodel. Thank you from the Dove.
Good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Polina's here.
Good morning, and Perry.
And I'm here, and Jerry is watching. He's recovering. Talked to him last night. He's doing very, very well. Thank you for all of the little comments we're getting that you miss him. He misses being here. But he's got a ways to go. He broke his leg first day of spring vacation skiing, when he was going to spend the whole week skiing. And he had surgery, he did all that stuff, but he's doing very, very well, and he's doing things from home. I'm waiting for the moment when he kicks in that he's got cabin fever. And
It will happen. No,
yeah, it's coming, and I don't know, do we get Pam counseling now for it, or after?
Probably wait a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there may be still a period of that, like a honeymoon period. Because, you know, every morning Jerry's gone now for a few days. He's actually home, and they can spend more time together.
So she goes.
So I'm sure
to
right now it's beautiful.
Yeah. Until the pain meds start to wear off.
Well, Pam, call us.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, good morning
but
to
Jerry
you.
is an amazing guy. He's always running. He's always out. He exercises. He skis. He fishes. And so now I'm sure it's a big adjustment. So Hang in there, Jerry.
Yeah. And guess what, Jerry? You're now defined as Grandpa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this first celebration that we have today, you cannot participate in, but everyone else, though, can. It's National Walking Day, one of Perry's favorite things to do. And the American Heart Association does encourage us to take a break and go for at least 30-minute walk. It is good for every part of your body and your mental health.
Be intentional about it. Don't stroll. Walk.
Don't stroll. What's stroll?
Just kind of wag it
Okay.
down, you know.
Actually get some momentum going.
Be intentional about it.
Yeah. And then once you're done walking, you can go and do something with your hands. It's do-it-yourself day. So whether you're tackling a project that you've been putting away or crafting something creative or maybe learning a new skill. So today is all about the joy of creativity.
Do you have a hobby?
And doing something. Do I have a hobby? I love... I play piano sometimes. I like editing videos.
Yes.
I mean,
you do very good at that.
I don't really have anything creative that I do. I'd love to, you know, making something, puzzles, I guess.
Okay, I just didn't know, you know, if you had a DIY thing.
In my bones, in my genes.
Well, you cook very well.
I could. Like, see, all these things that I could do, it's just not something I do.
Okay.
But it would be nice. Yeah. I do admire people who can take an old cabinet and turn it into something beautiful.
We have
I'd love to do
Gran
that.
out there. You can go play it.
We have what? Oh, the piano. Yeah. What about you? Hobbies?
Well,
projects?
I miss flying. I used to do a lot of it. I do just enough now to stay current, which is hardly anything. But I kind of miss that. But you know, I guess my thing is here.
You know, mine too. Hobby and life.
Mowing lawns.
Yeah. Also, it is a day when we observe Child Health National Day of Hope. And this day raises awareness about child abuse and reminds us to support organizations that protect and advocate for vulnerable children. So maybe look them up. There are a lot of them in Southern Oregon that we love and support. And I'm sure you have them in your area. So help them, because sometimes we just don't know how else to help kids, but there are organizations who specialize in that. And then finally, National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. It is April 2nd, the national day for this delicious breakfast, I guess, item. This classic sandwich has been a favorite for generations, dating back to early 1900s, when peanut butter was considered a delicacy. But by the 1920s, it became a household staple, and during World War II, it was even included in soldiers' rations. And today, Americans are eating over 2,000 PB&Js by high school graduation. That's a lot of carbs and peanut butter and jelly. But today is your official day to celebrate this sandwich, or however you do it.
Do you like it?
I do.
Smooth or crunchy?
Crunchy.
Okay.
You?
Yeah. Either way, but yeah, I do. Well, I had half a bagel this morning with peanut butter and jelly on it. You know, so good stuff.
Yeah, it's very kind of nutritious in many. I mean, I don't know, but you get some fats, you get some carbs, you get like a full pyramid of everything you need to have in the morning.
Yep. All right, let's check in with the guy that going at it in spite of himself.
The grandpa.
The grandpa.
With continued showery conditions across the top of our region and chilly overnight temperatures, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, showers likely mainly this afternoon with daytime highs in the low to mid 50s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with showers likely mainly after 1 p.m. with daytime high temperatures in the low 50s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, with snow levels rising from 2,200 feet to around 3,000 feet. In central Oregon, partly to mostly sunny skies for Prineville and Bend with daytime highs in the mid to upper 40s and Sun River near 41. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny with a high near 53 and a light west wind. Along the Oregon coast, showers likely with daytime high temperatures in the low 50s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. A chance of showers and breezy with daytime highs near 52 in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, isolated showers in near 53 in Grants Pass. Partly sunny in Medford with a high near 53 and Ashland near 50. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny with a daytime high temperature near 47. Into Northern California, partly sunny with a high near 49 in Wairika, sunny with highs near 63 in Redding and Chico, sunny in Sacramento with a high near 64 and a light northwest wind this afternoon. In the Bay Area, sunny with daytime highs near 63 in Santa Rosa and Napa. Sunny in San Francisco with a high near 61 and a northwest wind gusting up to 23 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny, breezy, and near 62. It's a look at your Wednesday weather on the Dove.
Okay, good morning to you. Beautiful day at Mount Ashland. This is a gorgeous shot. Look at the sun right at the very top. And then down through the lodge, all of that is snowed in. The parking lot is snowed in. So heavy snow over the last 2 days. And they'll get it. It is closed today, but they'll get it all groomed up and ready to go for tomorrow and through the weekend. But a beautiful day. And I'm sure Jerry's looking at that picture with mixed emotions.
But it is what it is. Thank God for everything. And speaking of, here is an inspiring and very encouraging message from Anne Graham Lotz for you this morning.
His office is manifold and his promise is sure. His life is matchless and his goodness is limitless. His mercy is enough and his grace is sufficient. His reign is righteous, his yoke is easy, and his burden is light. He is indestructible. He's incomprehensible. He's inescapable. He's invincible. He's irresistible. He's irrefutable. Actually, he's undescribable. I can't get him out of my mind, and I can't get him out of my heart. I can't outlive him, and I can't live without him. The Pharisees couldn't stand him, but found they couldn't stop him. Satan tried to tempt him, but found he couldn't trip him. Pilate examined him on trial, but found no fault in him. The Romans crucified him, but couldn't take his life. Death couldn't handle him, and the grave couldn't hold him. Just give me Jesus. Amen.
Only Anne Graham Lotz could give it that way.
Yeah.
What a special lady. All right, good stuff all the way around. All right, good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. Supposedly, sometime today, we're going to be liberated. The great day of liberation is going to occur sometime around 1 o'clock today, according to all the news. And that's where the president is going to hold a news conference. And it has to do with reciprocal tariffs around the world. What is a reciprocal tariff? Whatever the country charges us, we will charge them. And if they drop it to zero, we drop it to zero. This has been something that's been on the president's mind for many, many years, long before he ever got elected. And he's just trying to make the trade war, if I can put it that way, at least the trading field equal, fair trade.
And some countries are responding this morning. We've heard from Israel, who are dropping tariffs, from what I understand, altogether. But then Vietnam has lowered some tariffs. And we'll see if someone else, in anticipation of these announcements, will also respond.
So anyway, that's coming up around 1 o'clock today. The other top story is that yesterday was a special election in 2 states. Florida had 2 congressional seats open that were vacated by former Representative Matt Gaetz and Mike Waltz, who went on to be a part of the administration. Well, both were replaced with other Republicans. So both seats retained to be red, which now puts the House clearly into the majority and gives Speaker Johnson some good power, even though they had kind of a shakeup yesterday. That's another story.
You know, before you move on to Wisconsin, I was going to ask you about Florida. It was interesting that those 2 races, the Democrats have clearly outspent the Republicans. In the first one, it was $6 million to almost 3 times less, and then the other guy, Democrat, raised $9 million, the Republican only $1 million, and yet the Republicans won. Do you have any take on that? I'm always fascinated with the amount of money that goes into these races. And now we're seeing that money doesn't really make a difference when the candidate is not one that people want, and yet a lot of money.
Well, I think there's 2 things there. Yes, the candidate's everything, and can the candidate communicate? And does the candidate have a message, all that? I don't know either one of these people that ran. This would be well worth the time to study their campaign and see what the messaging was. But the other point is, the Democrats are they're auguring in, and even money can't save them. So it's bigger than just spending 3 times the amount of your opponent. It's possibly the candidate was wrong, but I think that Democrats, the liberals, have a problem nationwide. They can't get any traction anywhere. So we'll see.
And that's messaging mostly?
Could be. Well, in the meantime, Wisconsin had a opening on their Supreme Court, and this was a big battle yesterday, and the liberal did win. The liberal did win the Supreme Court justice position in the state of Wisconsin. But then on the same ballot, Wisconsin voted to enshrine voter ID. So it's kind of a mixed bag up there. They want liberal for their Supreme Court, but they want very conservative in requiring voter ID. This is a huge deal for the Republicans in Wisconsin. Even though they put a liberal on the Supreme Court, Wisconsin could be going from purple to red. We'll
It is
see.
interesting that we're even voting on something so elementary as voter ID.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of makes sense. If you went actually to the polls and you voted in this election for a Supreme Court justice that you prefer, then you should value the fact that you had the opportunity to vote. And then common sense kicks in. Okay, do I want people who have no right to vote for this be part of the election? So maybe it's just a return of common sense.
Well, I also think it's a return of referendums on state ballots. Which is, let's take these controversial issues out of the hands of the politicians and put them back into the hands of the voters.
Yeah.
I think they have a good, and that has a lot to do with who raises enough money to promote their side of the equation.
Right, and when you look at the race in Wisconsin, it's almost like they were running against Elon Musk. He was there promoting the Trump agenda, but also the Democrats were attacking Elon Musk as if he's part of the election. So these campaigns have been really interesting.
Yeah,
like
there's no more normal anymore. The other thing that happened is, you know, we have this rogue judge, and he is trying to stop the Trump administration from doing anything. He's primarily deporting bad people. Which is so interesting to me is that on the House floor yesterday, actually in the committee, I should say, we had Representative Jamie Raskin. He's quite a guy. Anyway, he got on the floor and telling his colleagues to help him stand behind the judge and push back on Trump. And here's his comments.
I call on my colleagues right now to call off the campaign to impeach federal judges for doing their jobs. I call on them to demand that the Trump administration comply with all judicial orders while appealing whichever ones they want to appeal, and to demand the return of people unlawfully taken to El Salvador on that so-called plane full of gangbangers. And I especially call on them today to denounce all violent threats, doxing, online vilification, and threats against our judges. This is the Judiciary Committee of the United States House of Representatives, and we should act like it. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
What they're trying to do is find some kind of ground to push back, but at the same time, what they're pushing back on is the losing issue, and that is let's bring all these bad people back and turn them loose. So you got a judge that is maybe outside of his definition. I don't know. That's going to have to be settled. It's a whole lot more complicated than impeaching a judge. That probably is not the right thing to do. But we're going to have to fix the fence. There's a hole in the fence, and they have to fix the fence. And I think that's going to come through the Congress. Is going to have to say these judges cannot dip into presidential powers.
Right, and make the rules that impact the whole nation, not just the individual in question.
Right.
And another thing with the DOGE, looking into these deportations and the Social Security and the government programs, what we're learning now that a lot of these illegals, whether they're criminals or not, when they came in, they got their Social Security, they got their work permit, and not only that, a lot of them were able to vote in the election, which is now being looked at by the Homeland Security Department. So there's this underlying, we always wonder, why are they so pro-illegal immigrants? Well, could be the reason, votes.
It's money in votes. They're buying votes. And the last thing yesterday that was so exciting was Newsmax is an amazing organization. Chris Ruddy, I know Chris. We've emailed back and forth. He's an amazing guy. He heads up Newsmax. Well, it went public yesterday. Now, it's been in the makings to go public. They had the Class A stock for sale for a while, and then all of a sudden, the IPO was launched earlier this week, and not knowing what to do, and it went crazy. It closed 735% above its starting point. That is an amazing thing. Even Steve Forbes weighs in and said this is so big that it outdid two other large broadcast organizations. It outdid, let's see if I have the comment here. He outdid, I'll find it here in a minute. But anyway, outdid Sinclair and one other organization that holds about 250 radio or television licenses in the United States. And at one point during the morning, it outdid Fox. This is a big deal, and I'm trying to figure out what's making this so successful. What is it that people ran out and bought Newsmax? I will say this. I emailed Chris early in the day, and I said, congratulations and the best for your day. And he emailed me back. He quoted some scripture. And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, it opened up on the exchange, and boom, it just takes off and goes crazy. I'm not sure what this means. If people are just tired of baloney media.
Could be, and they're seeing where the liberal media, the legacy media is going and how they're losing their supporters, their ratings, their numbers, their money. So where else would you put money if you have some money to put? Rather, but why not in the conservative media source that has been growing and gaining popularity, especially for the next 4 years? I think it's a no-brainer where the media world is going. So it's good for them.
And the other thing is, you always want to buy something at the initial, because it's always going to go up, and it'll find a plateau, and it might dip a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you're in at $9 and it closed yesterday at $83,
dang it.
You just made a lot of money, So anyway, congratulations, Chris and crew. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Thousands of satisfied customers make Jim Clark's Consignment Country the most recommended RV consignment lot on the West Coast. Even dealers recommend us. That success comes from dealing with only the cleanest pre-owned RVs at the best prices, no high-pressured salespeople, and treating customers with respect. And we've been doing this in the same location for over 40 years. Before you buy or sell your RV, see why so many satisfied customers recommend Jim Clark's Consignment Country. Family owned and operated at 1630 Rogue River Highway in Grants Pass.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
The Dove is touching lives across our network and around the world.
Thanks for all you do. You are one of the only channels I watch. Love your programs.
Thank you, Dove. Great programs. The Dove is doing the Lord's work. Jesus is the light of the world. God bless you all and the Dove.
Let us know if the Dove has touched your life. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative. Support the Dove at thedove.us.
Okay, welcome back. 20 minutes past the hour on your Wednesday. With the weather still a little left over, but as we're heading towards good weather for the rest of the week. Some state news. While Wisconsin is passed a bill yesterday that would require voter ID, which is just amazing. That's a good thing. Here in the state of Oregon, as you know, we were the first state to go vote by mail. Well, yesterday there was a bill introduced on the Senate floor, Senate Bill 210. To send to the people the option to do away with vote by mail. Now, I don't know where this is going to go. It seems to be DOA, but we'll see. But it really upset things. It upset things so much that the legislative website ceased to function properly for a little while when this bill was introduced.
So would this bill give people a choice or would eliminate mail by vote completely?
No, from what I understand, if I read the bill correctly, it would send to the people an opportunity to vote to get rid of voting by mail.
Okay.
And so I don't suspect this will go anywhere, primarily because of the upper 4 counties in the state are pretty blue, which is the most populous area of the state. But look, I think what we ought to do here is pretty simple, in my opinion. This is where state parties have a responsibility and even county parties have a responsibility. We need to clean up the voter rolls. And the voter rolls is get rid of the people that are dead and get rid of the people that aren't real people and get rid of the people that have moved. Okay, and the voter rolls have to be cleaned up. And you could put a little bit more integrity back into the system, but I still don't think vote by mail is convenient, but it's not clean.
Do you think Oregon has stayed blue because of vote by mail?
Good question. Probably not. We stay blue because of the 4 counties that are blue.
But are they really blue?
Most of them, yeah.
But I guess we'll never know. I mean, really.
The only thing, well, Oregon's got some cracks in the windshield, and I think what's going to happen here is sooner or later, businesses, as they slowly leave the state and jobs start to go away, that'll be the turn. And right now we have some major businesses saying that Oregon's not business friendly, we can do better elsewhere. And Texas is saying, hey, come on down to Texas. Nevada's saying, come on over here.
Right, Tennessee, Florida, all those.
Yeah, it's great and safe. All right, the other one is kind of a sad news. Our Catholic University in Oregon, which is basically the University of Oregon, which was formed in 1901 and is affiliated with the Congregation of the Holy Cross, is expanding its Department of Theology to include, quote, religious studies, quote, allowing students the autonomy to align their studies with their faith traditions according to the college fix. And all students still have to take 100 level theology courses, but higher up, you could exchange 205 course for a course of 362, which is queer theology.
Wow.
Why is the Catholic University doing this?
To appeal to a minority, to appeal to those who probably sponsoring the school.
I don't know.
Sure.
So here's what it says. Examining sources, and this is what the course is about, examining sources and methods within the theological subfield. It traces the developments of queering theologies from early turns to scripture doctrine affirming same-sex relationships. This has got to really rub the faithful raw.
Right.
And you have to ask
part of a
you just have to ask
Christian
yourself,
school.
why are you doing this? What's the benefit of this? Yeah. Okay, anyway, that's what's happening, as much as it's hard to report on. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for a Wednesday morning. Thank you, Preston, over there at Smart Lawn. This is when you don't have to mow, weed, or fertilize. Get the Smart Lawn. Excuse me. Dow's off 78.5 points. The NAS is down a whopping 2 points, and the S&P is down a whopping 8 points. So a little red ink at the beginning of the bell. We'll see what happens. Today is Liberation Day, so we'll see what happens. In the meantime, gold's up to 31.57. Silver is pushing 35. Wow, that's interesting. Crude oil is down, but it is up $74.27 a barrel. I'm waiting for $3 gallon gas to come home.
It will.
Yeah.
I think
probably July, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You even put dates on that, on your prophecies.
What is Bible foretelling history?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a prophet, and I'm not son of a prophet.
Okay, but we'll see if your prediction is correct in July. All right. Well, earlier we talked about Democrats wanting to keep the gang members in the country and just fighting this whole Trump administration's goal to secure a border and get illegals out. Why are they doing that? Well, this was an interesting moment when Elon Musk and Antonio Gracias, who is one of his DOGE members, he's from Spain himself, legal immigrant. He explained how millions of people came into this country illegally, got their social security number, and also were able to vote.
You walk up to a Border Patrol officer and you tell them you want to come in. they have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border, they do what's called a release from your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, a notice to appear, which is to appear at a judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people, okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you got asylum through one of these pathways, and we map the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765, it's the work form. You get this form called the 766, that's the authorization, and then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview, no ID.
This is worth just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep,
No.
They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make it a permanent, deep blue, one-party state from which there would be no escape.
Look, if I hadn't seen this myself, I'm not sure I'd have believed it. I went through it myself and mapped it, and Elon is right. This is true. The defaults in the system from Social Security to all of the benefit programs have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people, and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid, as an example. We've gone through, on every benefit program we went through, we found groups from this particular group of people, this 5.5 million people, in those benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why. Right. And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And we found people here registered to vote in this population, yes.
And who did vote.
And we found some by sampling that actually did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Already.
And we'll see if something comes out of that investigation. It is a big wow. And by the way, this was during their Wisconsin event. Elon Musk and his team was there. But an interesting thing happened towards the end during the question and answer segment. A gentleman came to a microphone and asked to pray for Elon Musk.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we are thankful for our country. We are thankful that God does bless America and that God is the source of all goodness, love, and provision. And that you, Lord God, have provided a great nation with a great history. And although we've gone through many rough times, you're still very present and active with us. Thank you for protecting President Trump from that fatal attack. And we ask that you envelop and protect all of those who are fighting for justice, for freedom, for order, for dignity, and to reward people according to merit, and especially put your hedge of protection around Elon Musk, around his children, around his whole entire family, and all of his team members, that all would do good and just by our country, and freedom truly and justice would reign once again. We ask this in the name of the blessed Savior, Jesus Christ, who we remember during this time of year, who suffered and died for our sins. May you wash away all that is wrong with our country and start with us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Wow. It's a new day, isn't it, when stuff like that happens? Mm-hmm. The dichotomy of that story, where they find the fraud, they find the intentional fraud, they find the amount of money that's going on. The first thing that happens here, they just stop this nonsense. That's going to create a tailwind of savings. They have to come back and prosecute it, but the first thing they do is stop the payment. And then to have it cap it off where they allow somebody to come to the microphone and pray openly like this. Wow. That's a new day.
Yeah.
All right.
Not much to say, isn't it?
I don't know. That even eclipses and supersedes peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, 100%.
We'll be right back.
Everything you do to the glory of the one who made you, 'cause he made
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Thousands of satisfied customers make Jim Clark's Consignment Country the most recommended RV consignment lot on the West Coast. Even dealers recommend us. That success comes from dealing with only the cleanest pre-owned RVs at the best prices, no high-pressured salespeople, and treating customers with respect. And we've been doing this in the same location for over 40 years. Before you buy or sell your RV, see why so many satisfied customers recommend Jim Clark's Consignment Country. Family owned and operated at 1630 Rogue River Highway in Grants Pass.
71.5 Golf Challenge arrives Saturday, May 17th with a 4-person scramble, morning and afternoon shotguns, and a 6:30 award social. Register your team to win by April 1st for our early bird special. Score the team player pack for just $20 instead of $100 with code Early Birdie. Become a sponsor and help thousands of kids across Southern Oregon. Visit 715.org or call 541-779-3275 today. Remember, at the 71.5 Golf Challenge, your drive changes lives.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How y'all doing out there?
Good. Peanut buttered out.
Peanut buttered out. Okay. The weather is changing. We have some blue sky. We may have a little bit of a sprinkle here and there, but moving into some prettier weather. And the flowers are blooming. You can see right there. So a lot going on. But in the Middle East, pretty tense. Let's check in with CBN Newswatch and get caught up.
This is CBN Newswatch.
Begin this Wednesday in the Middle East, where Israel is expanding its military operation in the Gaza Strip. Defense Minister Ariel Katz saying in a statement the goal of the offensive in the Palestinian territory is to, quote, crush and clean the area of terrorists and to siege large areas that will be added to the security zones of the State of Israel. The expanded assaults come after Israel has been hitting Hamas with heavy strikes in the last few weeks. The defense minister called on Gaza residents to expel Hamas and return all hostages. He says it is the only way to end the war. Our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem with more. So, Chris, what more can you tell us about this expanded offensive against Hamas? How significant is this?
Well, Ephraim, it is significant. What it does is marks a new phase in Israel's military campaign that began a few weeks ago. And now Prime Minister Netanyahu is saying any negotiations for the hostages is going to be held under fire. They're targeting deeper in Hamas infrastructure down in Rafah, right on the Egyptian-Gazan border, including underground tunnels, command centers, and then weapon stockpiles. The reason it's significant, Ephraim, it really signals Israel is shifting from sort of isolated strikes to a broader and a more sustained military operation. And this is all designed to dismantle Hamas's ability to operate in the Gaza. And so the scale and the intensity suggests that the offensive could take weeks and maybe months and to hopefully reshape the situation on the ground.
How will these attacks on Hamas affect the hostage negotiations?
Well, it remains to be seen. As I said, Prime Minister Netanyahu made the decision a few weeks ago that they would negotiate under fire and keep the pressure on Hamas. And these intensified strikes, and actually a new division, apparently the 36, has gone into Gaza as well, puts more pressure on Hamas. But also it risks complicating the negotiations on the one hand. The military escalation, it's designed to weaken Hamas's leverage. On the other hand, it could cause delays or breakdown in the talks to the instability there in the Gaza Strip and Hamas's desire to respond. And so right now the mediators, Egypt and Qatar, They're saying they're urging restraint to keep the negotiation alive, but the situation certainly remains fluid. We do know right now that Israel is proposing about a 40-day ceasefire in exchange for 11 alive hostages. Right now, we understand 59 still remain inside Gaza. 24 of those, we believe, are still alive.
Now, Israel launched a strike against Hezbollah in Beirut. What happened there?
Well, Gideon Sari, Israel's foreign minister, made a statement about that yesterday. It was a Hezbollah leader that they targeted right there in Beirut, who they believe was directing Hamas terrorists and assisting them in an attempt to carry out a possible major imminent attack against Israeli civilians. And because of that, he said it posed a real and imminent threat. He called it a ticking time bomb, and so they had to eliminate the threat. The IDF came out with a statement and said, terrorist Hassan Ali Mahmoud Badir, he was a terrorist in Hezbollah Unit 3900 and part of the Iranian Quds Force as well. They struck him in a Hezbollah stronghold in Beirut. It was apparently a very significant and imminent terror attack against Israeli civilians, reportedly an attack on Cyprus. It also marked the second strike in several days in Beirut itself, and it really signaled a willingness to operate deeper inside Lebanese territory to eliminate any future threats by Hezbollah.
The Trump administration has been sending warnings to Iran over its nuclear program. How is Iran responding?
Well, Iran is rejecting the U.S. pressure and the offer of negotiations. In the meantime, it continues to expand its nuclear capabilities. Tehran has been insisting its program is peaceful, but it really is looking to try to get a nuclear weapon right now. So Iran is stepping up its rhetoric, military drills, sending a defiant message that it won't be coerced. However, some believe there are back-channel diplomacy contacts going on through Europe. But right now, we're coming to the end of the two-month deadline that President Trump had set when he said negotiations that could come in a few weeks. And then also reports say that Iran, in the meantime, is closer to military-grade material. So right now, it seems like these boundaries of negotiations that people talk about could be closing. In the meantime, the U.S. is sending more assets to the region, more THAAD anti-missile systems. So right now we see both U.S. and Iran preparing for could be a momentous confrontation.
Well, okay.
So much going on in that part of the world.
It is. The Middle East. There's one thing about the Middle East. You can't understand it. It goes back thousands of years. It's very confrontational.
Well, and
it's very biblical, so it's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, and now President Trump is saying that he's planning on inviting more people into the Abraham Accords. He's having his first overseas trip to Saudi Arabia, so there's a lot happening there.
I think the Saudi Arabia will probably be the country that comes all the way in, and we in the West just don't understand. As much as I try to understand it, there's still mysteries to it, and that is the conflict between the Shiites and the Sunnis within the Islamic world. And it's been there for thousands of years, and they're both fighting for preeminence. So we'll see what happens. All right. Well, he can do this in any position, standing up, sitting down, laying down, and he does the weather.
With continued showery conditions across the top of our region and chilly overnight temperatures, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, showers likely mainly this afternoon with daytime highs in the low to mid-50s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with showers likely mainly after 1 p.m. with daytime high temperatures in the low 50s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, with snow levels rising from 2,200 feet to around 3,000 feet. In central Oregon, partly to mostly sunny skies for Prineville and Bend with daytime highs in the mid to upper 40s and Sun River near 41. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny with a high near 53 and a light west wind. Along the Oregon coast, showers likely with daytime high temperatures in the low 50s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. A chance of showers and breezy with daytime highs near 52 in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, isolated showers in near 53 in Grants Pass. Partly sunny in Medford with a high near 53 and Ashland near 50. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny with a daytime high temperature near 47. Into Northern California, partly sunny with a high near 49 in Wairika, sunny with highs near 63 in Redding and Chico, sunny in Sacramento with a high near 64 and a light northwest wind this afternoon. In the Bay Area, sunny with daytime highs near 63 in Santa Rosa and Napa, sunny in San Francisco with a high near 61 and a northwest wind gusting up to 23 miles per hour, and today in San Jose, sunny, breezy, and near 62. It's a look at your Wednesday weather on the Dove.
All right, good morning to you. And a little fog has kind of moved in over the top of Mount Ashland a little bit this morning on our picture, but that's typical. You know, you have usually have an air inversion right at sunrise, and when your temperature and dew point come within 2 degrees, fog.
Sure.
Did you know that? You learned that today, didn't you? Okay, good morning
Tomorrow
to you.
you say the same thing, I'll act surprised because I have no idea what you just said.
Temperature
All right.
and the dew point.
If you're tempted to not go to church this Sunday, we have a story for you about an astronaut, one of the ones who just came back from space. Even he attended services in space.
The Word of God continually infilling me. I need it. My pastors are the finest pastors on or off, in this case, the planet. And to tie in and to worship with my church family was vital. I mean, it's part of what makes me go. And not only that, I also tied into Grace Baptist Church in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. A buddy of mine is an elder there and a pastor there, and I would watch their service as well every single week. And it was invigorating. It was part of what I need as a believer in Jesus Christ to continue that focus. It assisted me day in and day out because I need that fellowship, even though it's fellowship from afar. And it's not like being fellowship up close, but still I need it. Life is our life, all of our lives are bound up in many things. For me, and it's faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He is the end-all, be-all. He forgives us. He teaches us when His Word says about being content in all situations because He's working out His plan and His purposes for His glory and our good. And I believe that because the Bible says that. And that's the message that I lived. We lived it. My family lived it. We taught them these things throughout their lives. And that's contentment. It doesn't mean always happy. It doesn't mean there's no pain. But content and knowing that God's in control, sovereign God's in control, working out His plan and His purpose. And you might say, well, goodness, that wasn't a very good thing. God did that. Well, He's working out His plan and His purpose. I mean, who's lived a life without pain? I mean, no one. That's the nature of existence. Who's lived a life without sorrow? Who's lived a life without challenges? It grows us. We learn from it. And that's the focus that I try to take from it. Is what's the Lord trying to show me? And what's He teaching me? Because there's so much to learn in life. And there's so much to learn from this evolution. And I think I know my daughters are better off for it. And I'm grateful for that. And I think we are as well.
Gosh, what a testimony.
Mm-hmm.
That's
very
marvelous.
Yeah.
Won the church in space, huh?
Yeah, well, I was thinking yesterday, so this guy, Butch Wilmore, was in space with the lady, I forgot her name, but, imagine what it would be like to spend 9 months together. I mean, what a connection they would develop. And I don't know her faith and where she stands there, but him attending services and really living his faith is very inspiring.
So we're going to call it X-Fellowship?
There you go. The Church of X.
Yeah, X-Fellowship.
Let's start another church.
Okay. Well, one of the most important character traits to establish in your children, which one do you think it is? There's a lot of character traits, but what's the one that you think is the most important?
Whoa. I guess I can look it up.
Integrity. We'll go to focus on the family. Watch this.
I think that's the number one character trait is integrity. And I think you begin by talking about it a lot and telling your kids that being honest and telling the truth when they're tiny is the most important thing. And if you've done something naughty, but you tell the truth about it, your punishment will be less. Okay. So from the beginning, you stress honesty. And then as the kids become teens, I think it's really helpful to have what I call table talk questions. What trait do you think is important? And what trait is hard? And integrity is one of them, because in today's world, there's not a lot of integrity. And what does a person who's honest live like and look like? And where do you see your integrity challenged? And, with teenagers, it's almost more helpful to ask questions and see what they can come up with rather than giving them a mama sermon. And also remembering that actions have consequences. When your kids disobey or are dishonest or do anything they ought not to do, they need to have a consequence. And in today's world, there's a sort of a theme, we just want to keep our kids happy. Well, that's not real life. Our kids need to learn that their actions have value or have consequences. So you support them in their punishment, but you don't delete the punishment.
Did you and Peggy actually ever sit down and kind of mapped out what you're going to teach your kids, or no, you just kind of went with it?
We were young, still are.
Good one. You are.
Kids don't come with manuals. And I remember Dr. Dobson talking about, that's why he just skyrocketed, because at the time people they started families, you just started life, you just jumped in and you did it. And then you realize these children didn't come with manuals, they weren't perfect, they had problems, and then you needed these tips on what to do.
Do you think it was easier to raise kids a few years back when you and Peggy started, or no?
Oh gosh, I don't know how parents do it today. Yes, the answer is yes. They didn't have cell phones, they didn't have digital media, they didn't have all this stuff grabbing at their attention and diverting their thinking and challenge their morals and their integrity. Today, kids at a young age are dealing with integrity issues at the moment they can talk.
Right.
The influence is there.
And so much happens outside of parental supervision, control, however you want to call it. Online, who knows what's happening there?
I think it was on Focus on the Family, I can't remember, but somebody actually did a timing of how much time you have with your children versus other people and other institutions have with your children. And the parents have been reduced down to about 9%.
Wow. And probably reduced themselves because of the work and busyness and their own social media involvement.
And we're supposed to have influence on the top of them. I think, to me, it's just over time here, but to me the most important thing you can do, food. Do everything around meals.
Well, I hope you give food to your kids.
Well, we feed them. If they're really good, we'll feed them. But no, but I mean, the table is kind of like the great equalizer.
Family dinners.
It's like here. We do everything around food here, so it's great.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. Speaking of food, peanut butter and jelly. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
The Dove is upgrading our studios. For the first time, weather and sound insulation, air conditioning, and we're enlarging our studios to produce more local shows. It's been budgeted, but we also need some much-needed equipment to complete the remodel. Our goal is $128,853. Will you prayerfully consider helping us during our spring boost? You can call anytime or donate online safely at thedove.us. Thank you for helping the Dove change lives.
This week on The John Ankerberg Show.
The polls of the Pew Research Center show that 4 in 10 Americans believe we are living in the last days. Further, they found out that 70% of evangelical Christians believe Christ could return during their lifetime. Where does the Bible talk about these things? Join me for The John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
Good morning to you. Welcome back, Stuart Varney. He's kind of a fun guy to watch. He has a lot of conversations and good guests, and talked with the State Department spokesman Tammy Bruce, who talked about the president's upcoming trip in May to Saudi Arabia, which you mentioned, and investment in the United States, and what he expects over the next 4 years. And here's a little bit of that take.
He's been there before. He's had a great relationship with Saudi Arabia. We know with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, I've twice have been to Saudi Arabia with him, as they have been excellent partners in this effort to stop this conflict between Ukraine and Russia. So they have one of the few places, I think, that actually have a good relationship with both of the parties involved. And that has allowed us to get a lot done. So they've helped facilitate a tremendous amount. They've been terrific allies in this regard. And obviously, with what's happening in the Middle East and the president's relationship and history with Saudi Arabia, I'm not surprised. And he's clearly a global leader. His goal for this country, as is Secretary Rubio's goal, is for America to be secure and safe and prosperous.
Yeah.
We are safer when we have a good economy. We are safer when other nations invest in our country, when American businesses are here, when the economy is good. And so, of course, that is a global effort. President Trump understands that. And I'm looking forward to the nature of the next 4 years and what will be a golden era for this nation, and what Americans finally can look forward to the future as one they can trust.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, today is Liberation Day.
Yeah. Well, that's coming up at 1 o'clock our time, where the president will hold that news conference. But if Saudi Arabia becomes part of the Abrahamic Accord there in the Middle East, that'll be a big deal when it comes to Iran. So we'll see how that plays out. Great guest coming up. Looking forward to having Mark Meckler back with us. It's been a while since I've had him. He's the president of Convention of the States, and we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Well, Susie Wiles is the new chief of staff for President Trump. She is quite a lady, was part of a lot of his campaigns, and recently she opened up the doors to her office to show us what it's like to work in the West Wing.
Well, welcome to my office.
Thank you. Got a nice
Meet
team
Sarah
out here.
and Cam.
Hello.
One of the great things about the White House, and I'm sure you remember, is these pictures.
Yes.
Every day, or at least every week, they change White House photos.
That's so
that's
cool.
kind of a fun treat.
Yeah. Oh, look at the one of you out the window. That's cool.
That's Mark Vogel coming back from Russia.
Incredible. And you've got some nice neighbors, you were telling me.
I do. I have the National Security Advisor down the hall and the Vice President next door.
There we go.
Yeah,
nice. All right, let's check it out. Let's see what we got here. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know.
I pinch myself in the morning.
I ever came in here. Oh, and you have a beautiful fire?
Yeah, our fire days are probably dwindling because it's getting warm.
It came like this, or how did we do this office?
Actually, not. My predecessor, who was a wonderful guy, had a particular style, bought all his own furniture. So when I got here, it was empty. And so, while daunting, it allowed me to kind of...
You had to start from scratch
Yes,
in here.
so I got to really put my own touch on it. I have a table that seats 8 because there are always 8 at it. And we start early and go till, late. A lot of the staff have young children. So we try to pack a lot into the middle of the day, and then I can always work before or after. So we try to accommodate that. But this is a place of really good meetings. The president's been down here once, which is more than he ever went down here in the past administration. So it's a busy place, but we have such a great staff. The cabinet's very comfortable here. One of my goals was to make sure that it's an office, but it's where people really sort of make big decisions for the world. So I want them comfortable, I want them happy, and I tried to make an office where that could happen.
She's got a nice patio outside where she says they spend a lot of time together, and she may turn it into...
Yeah, we're seeing more of that. He took Laura Ingraham into the Oval Office from outside, where you see the iconic Rose Garden, and they step across and they come into the Oval Office. And his Oval Office is pretty amazing. A lot of pictures in there, but the most dominant one is a picture of Ronald Reagan. And then you come around and there's this black curtain curtain pulled, and he opens up the curtain, and there's the Declaration of Independence. So he has to keep it behind darkness because of the light. Can you imagine having that in your office?
And it's been sitting in the vault all these years.
Yeah.
So he actually brought a lot of those pictures out, including the Declaration of Independence. And right, what a reminder. You know, you come in the office to serve the country, and there it is.
There it is.
The main document.
All right, Nahum chapter 1, verse 7. That's a book you don't poke your nose in too often, but a great promise in there. The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows those who take refuge in him. Do you take refuge in him? He knows you. He'll take care of you. All right, stick around. We got some great guests coming up. Enjoy some sunshine. It will come and go, but it'll be here. And have some peanut butter and jelly.
Yes.
It can be puzzling assembling all the right pieces for your insurance needs in retirement. I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Guiding you through the stormy seas of insurance, Lighthouse stands out as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
Big ideas grow.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of his care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why McKelly's is automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service. Honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and so timely to have back with us somebody I so appreciate. Dr. Carson is the founder of American Cornerstone Institute. Alan Dershowitz, a lawyer, obviously, a Harvard professor of law. Dr. Erwin Lutzer, pastor emeritus of the Moody Church in Chicago. Been a long time. David Limbaugh is back with us. I'm honored to have evangelist Dr. Elvita King with us.
For more Focus Today episodes and podcasts, go to theDove.us.
Help the Dove with much needed equipment for our remodel. Pray about giving to our spring boost. Thank you from the Dove.
Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. And again, always delighted when we have time to sit down and talk to our good friend, Mark Meckler. Mark is quite a guy. He's a frontline warrior in so many ways, so knowledgeable. And he's president of Convention of States. And that's also the website, conventionofstates.com. And if you don't have their little booklet, let me encourage you to check it out, which is the fifth article of the 5 for Convention of States. And you can order those there at conventionofstates.com. So get them, they're free, read them, and hand them out. Mark, buddy, good to see you. How are you, friend?
Good morning. Great to be with you. I'm doing well. Thank you.
All right. Well, so much time to talk to you about, so little time to talk to you about. Hey, do you feel liberated yet? It's coming up in about 4 hours.
Well, I just saw a news story that Canada has agreed to waive all their tariffs as long as we waive our tariffs. So I think what's going on is the reality of what Trump is trying to do is actually working. And people were worried he's launching a trade war. I don't think this is going to end up being a trade war, except maybe with China, which I approve of. But I think nations that are friendly to us are all going to realize that this idea of reciprocal tariffs is silly, and it's time to just remove tariffs and have free trade.
Did you ever think this would become frontline issue?
No, because look, I don't think we've ever had a president bold enough to try to do this. And Donald Trump is cut from a different cloth. He's really actually a one-of-a-kind guy. And so seeing him do this it's not surprising for Trump, but it certainly is surprising in historical context.
So what do you think it means to us economically?
Well, my hope is what it means is just more free trade. And I think the U.S. is the strongest economy in the world. I think we have the smartest people in the world working here and producing products. So I think it means a robust and growing economy. I think one of the most interesting things around this is watching the stock market. The stock market, generally speaking, does not like uncertainty and doesn't like tariffs. And yet the stock market's not been diving on leading up to this tariff day, this liberation day. And I think that means that business people, broadly speaking, understood that Trump was playing a negotiating game, that he really doesn't want broad-scale tariffs. So I think that's good economic news for America, that the business community, by and large, understands Donald Trump.
Amazing. All right. Well, special election yesterday, kind of mixed results. Florida stays red. I don't think we were too surprised by there. But up in Wisconsin, they did elect a liberal Supreme Court justice for their state, but they turned around and voted in voter ID. What's going on in Wisconsin?
Yeah, look, I'm sad to say this is a really terrible election result for conservatives. I think it's great that they have voter ID, but I think the amount of actual fraud going on up there based on not having voter ID is probably relatively small. I mean, I think it exists, but I think it's probably relatively small. There are much easier ways to commit voter fraud, mail-in ballots, drop boxes, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm really worried about the Supreme Court. This Supreme Court is the single most partisan Supreme Court in the United States that I'm aware of. They already had a liberal bent. We lost a seat there a couple of years back, and it's been very liberal. They've already overturned most of the reforms done by Governor Scott Walker. And they've openly admitted that they intend to be a very partisan Supreme Court. They're going to redistrict that state. I think Republicans are going to lose 2 seats in the House of Representatives from this. So I think this is a very damaging result.
Wow. All right. I want to come back to one of the big stories, and that is what's happening with President Trump and district judges interfering with his ability to govern, and in particular, Judge Boasberg. This is quite messy. There's a lot of people trying to explain. What's your take on all this?
I think this is a really interesting issue, this idea of nationwide injunctions issued by district court judges. Normally, a district court judge, when a case comes before them, they have jurisdiction. That's what we're talking about, jurisdiction of the court over the parties that are in front of them and no more. And normally, if a district court is going to take jurisdiction over more than the parties in front of them, they have to have a class action submitted, and they have to certify the class saying that everybody in the class has the same interest. You can't do that in these cases. And so they are instead issuing these nationwide injunctions. Then the question is, well, where's that authority come from? All district court authority comes from Congress. Congress created these courts and gives them the authority that they have. Well, they don't have any congressional authority here. And then so the second question would be, well, maybe they have authority as granted by the Supreme Court. They don't have that authority either. The Supreme Court has never ruled that they can issue nationwide injunctions. So then you look to the common law and you say, well, historically, have these courts, in England, courts like this had nationwide injunction authority? And the answer is no to that as well. So where do they get this authority? The answer is they just invented it, which means it's going to have to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's going to have to decide this issue.
So in the meantime, there was this verbiage and talk about impeaching Boasberg, and I get the frustration there. But the moment that subject came up of impeaching a judge, Chief Justice John Roberts immediately weighed in Did he play his hand on where he will go with this in the future?
I don't think he did play his hand. I mean, my best read, first of all, John Roberts concerns me immensely. I think he is what would be described as an institutionalist, meaning he cares more about the Supreme Court than he does about the Constitution or the country. And to put some good faith on it, I think he believes that it's fundamentally his job to protect the legitimacy of the Supreme Court. But I think when he does things like this, he actually damages the legitimacy of the Supreme Court. I don't think he should have said a word about this. I think impeachment is an actual reasonable remedy when judges like this rule out of line with the United States Constitution. A judge behaving in an unconstitutional way and does so without rhyme or reason should be subject to the methodology of impeachment. Now, it's important to remember, if we were to impeach Judge Boasberg, an impeachment is a two-step process. The House of Representatives brings articles of impeachment, and then they have to vote on that. I think we could get articles of impeachment by a simple majority out of the House of Representatives. And then it goes over to the Senate where the trial takes place. And the trial requires a 2/3 majority to actually convict on the articles of impeachment. And we clearly can't get that. The Democrats are not going to vote for that. So then the question becomes purely a political one. Is there a reason for impeachment that serves a political purpose or investigatory purpose? And I think in this case, there is. In other words, we should be exposing why these judges are doing what they're doing. What's their bias? This would give Congress the power to look at their emails, to look at any donations they might have made. All of that stuff should be public record anyway, in my opinion. And we can see if there really is a bias here. And so I think that's an appropriate reason to use the impeachment methodology.
In the meantime, it's held up by being appealed. So that keeps the door open for the president to continue the deportations, right?
Well, it depends on which ruling we're talking about. So in some cases, maintaining the status quo means the injunction, the temporary restraining order or preliminary injunction stay in place, and the president is prevented from doing some of the things he wants to do. And I think that's the Boasberg case. So right now things are on hold, and there will be or is an emergency appeal to the United States Supreme Court. I think another reason that Robert said what he said is he really didn't want this to come to the Supreme Court. He doesn't want to have to rule on it. But I think ultimately at this point here in the next month or two, the Supreme Court's going to have to weigh in on these cases.
So back to what you said earlier, does the Congress have the power to change the rules of a district court?
Absolutely, 100%, undeniably. So if Congress were to pass a law that said the district courts, appellate courts have absolutely no ability to impose a nationwide injunction, they only have authority over the parties in front of them, or I mean, they could even go more broadly and say they have authority over their own district, and they could impose an injunction in their own district that applies in that district. Congress can do that, and I think Congress should do that. That's really the appropriate remedy right now, is for Congress to limit the authority of the courts.
So is the president on thin ice by continuing deportations?
No, I think this is how he forces the issue, and I think it's important for him to force the issue. You know, again, all of this gets a little bit murky. It's not purely legal because there is no legal standard for this. I think it becomes more of a political matter. And on this issue, especially, the president is immensely popular. This is a 80-20 issue. The American people want this stuff to proceed. And if you watch what he's doing, he is only deporting really the most serious criminals among us. And nobody seems opposed to that, except for the leadership of the Democrat Party. I don't understand why they think this is a winning play. Also, Trump has been very savvy when asked by the media if he would simply disobey court orders. He hasn't said he would. And if you look at his history from his first term, he never disobeyed a court order.
Okay, so we have a little bit of an interesting precedence. We have President Biden given an order by the Supreme Court not to continue to do away with student loans, and he defied that. Is that slowly becoming a precedent? So we have a president defying a court order. Where does that go?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would call it a precedent, and certainly we have an instance of that happening, and I think we have quite a few instances of that happening under the Biden administration. I think Biden, it's ironic, but Biden was closer in the way he behaved to a dictator. And I would say it's not even Biden because he had dementia. It was his administration acted in dictatorial or tyrannical ways by doing things that the courts said that they wouldn't allow, or doing things that were directly contrary to the law. For example, leaving the borders open, refusing to enforce the laws. These are behaviors of a dictator or a tyrant, but I wouldn't want to consider them precedential because, look, I don't want a Republican president that disobeys the law or ignores court orders, because then the entire system breaks down.
Right.
I think the point of a Republican administration is to restore a society that is based on the rule.
Yeah, very well said. So a bigger look at all this stuff, what's happening with the courts. Did you ever think that the court were compromised as much as we're now seeing exposed?
Yeah, and I would say yes, and I might have a unique view on this, having been an attorney for so long. I practiced in courts. I mean, we're talking low-level state courts where judges behaved like tyrants, where they would do things that were clearly outside of the law, where when we as attorneys objected to those things, they would simply laugh and say things like, well, you could appeal us, but I don't think your clients want to pay for that. So I've seen this behavior in my personal life for a very long time, and I'm concerned about it. And this happens in a society that is disconnected from God and disconnected to the concept of honor and integrity, where people think that they personally are above the law or can control the law. That's a problem, and it's important to remember John Adams said that our Constitution was drafted for a moral and religious people and is wholly inadequate for any other, and I think that's part of what we're seeing here.
So as they uncover more of this judicial lack of integrity, our brains on tilt. How do you correct this mess?
Yeah, I think there are multiple methods for correcting the mess. I think one thing that we ought to do is I do think that the impeachment remedy is important. If we impeach a couple of federal judges for ignoring the Constitution, I think the other judges will begin to behave. They like their positions, they like their pensions, they like their offices, and I think they want to maintain those. So I think that's one way to force compliance. I think another thing that the Republicans ought to do right now, and this is not purely a partisan thing, is I think they ought to expand the district courts, and they ought to add, say, 600 more judges. And I know that sounds like a large number, but most people don't realize these district courts have an incredible backlog of cases. So that's not about partisan hackery. That's about actually creating enough judges to do the job that we need our federal district courts to do. Of course, it would have the advantage of allowing Republicans to appoint all of these judges, and I think they ought to do so while Trump's in office. And frankly, if it were me, to make it less partisan, I would say to Democrats, especially in blue states, that we will allow you to suggest judges for a lot of these positions, and we will help to confirm some of those judges. But I think the Republicans ought to do it, and they ought to appoint the majority of those judges, and they ought to do that right now.
That's an interesting take. So how does this play into your heartbeat of Article 5 convention?
I mean, I think this demonstrates more than ever that we need an Article 5 convention. I just saw a commenter on YouTube say this: watch what's going on in Congress. You watch the difficulty that they're having doing reforms. You watch the judiciary pushing back against all that stuff. Some of this stuff has to be written down in our Constitution. For example, there's going to be a war over whether we can shut down the Department of Education. I think Trump's going to try to do that. I appreciate that. I appreciate Secretary McMahon for doing that. I think she's the best person in the world who could do that. But even if they're successful in doing that, and I question whether they will be, but if they are successful in doing that, the Democrats will fire up the Department of Education 5 minutes after they take office again, when they have the power to do so. And we need to permanently stop that stuff. We need to remove the authority of the administrative state. We need to remove the authority of Congress to create these agencies that usurp the power of the executive. And the only way I know to do that, or to impose term limits, to impose a balanced budget amendment, is to call an Article 5 Convention of States. So I think this demonstrates to us deep state war against the American people, that we need a Convention of States now more than ever.
Beautifully said. Let me take a quick break. By the way, he has the Article 5 convention booklet. You can get that by going to conventionofstates.com. He'll send you a package of those. We have a few left here. If you're in the area, come by, we'll give them to you. But check it out, conventionofstates.com. We'll take a quick break while he turns around and pats Spot on the back of the head there on his couch. We'll be right back.
What if your next ride was more than just a ride?
What if it was an epic adventure filled with unforgettable memories?
At Panoramic Moto Tours, we take you beyond the ordinary, offering curated routes, privately guided with all the details handled.
Our passion is to share the joy of riding incredible roads, exploring new sights and towns, and connecting with others and sharing our stories.
Sound good to you?
What are you waiting for? Let's create your custom tour, or join us on one of our upcoming tours.
The Lost Coast and Trinity Alps, May 16th through the 19th, or the Oregon Coast and Cascades Tour, June 22nd through the 26th. Just click the Tours tab at panoramicmototours.com or call 541-622-3844.
panoramicmototours.com. Your next adventure starts here.
Your fears that seem paralyzing to you, your fears that may seem uncontrollable, they show you what you really value, what matters to you in this life. And that we have to remedy that not by valuing other things 0%, but by valuing Jesus more. Because when we know that He numbers the hairs on our head, that He controls the insignificant things like sparrows falling to the ground, we begin to think, yeah, He's got it, and I don't have to be in control. I don't need to fear.
All right, welcome back. Always an honor to have Mark Meckler with us today. He's president of Convention of States, and that is also his website, conventionofstates.com. Very resourceful. Check it out and be a part of what he does. And then you can also order the booklet on the Convention of States, and he'll send you a pack of those. If you're holding any kind of a get-together and things, have a bunch of these in your hand. Quite a few interesting questions. Mark, do you think that some of the president's EOs will be codified into law?
Yeah, I know that's the intent. And my big question is, how difficult is it going to be to move any of this stuff through Congress? We're seeing the dysfunction in Congress right now. We've seen it over the last couple of days. The president barely has a majority. That's why this Florida election was so important, that we didn't lose another seat. Pulled a couple people out of Congress to become part of the administration, really good folks. But I'm worried. There's an incredibly slim majority in Congress. We know that Thomas Massie is almost always a no vote for the Republicans, so we lose one right there. So I think the real question is just about how can they hold the caucus together? And I think Mike Johnson right now is doing as good a job as can be done.
What happened yesterday? What was that little spat about?
Yeah, I mean, there was a spat about rules, and the real question was they were trying to do a vote which would allow proxy voting for new parents. And I think that's a problem. I just don't think we want proxy voting in Congress. It's a dangerous precedent that people don't have to be there to cast their vote. And it's long been the rules in the House. It's just a rule. It's long been the rules in the House. You actually have to be on the floor to cast your vote. And I think that's an important rule. Otherwise, Congress is just going to scatter to the wind and everybody can claim proxy voting. They tried to do this during COVID. They did it a whole bunch. The Democrats did it. I just don't think it's a good idea for our institution.
Yeah, well said. With all of the findings of DOGE and the exposure of the fat and the fraud, are we heading legitimately towards a balanced budget?
Well, I think even Elon Musk would say not yet towards a balanced budget. Their goal is that by July they remove $1 trillion from the budget. And so that still leaves us upside down probably by about $1 trillion. But it's an incredible start. I mean, it's a good way to go to start towards cutting this, but not quite towards a balanced budget, I would say.
All right. So in the meantime, DOGE is finding all this stuff. I guess we're not surprised, but we are shocked at the level of fraud and fat. If they just stop funding it, we're saving a bunch of money. I don't know if there's going to be restitution, but if they just stop funding it, it's a huge amount of money in savings. I guess, which is so interesting to me, do you think they'll eventually get to tracing the money to kickbacks and through NGOs back to politicians?
Yeah, look, Perry, I think you actually said that better than I've ever heard it said, which is we're not surprised, but we are shocked, which is an odd combination. I think all of us knew that there was waste, fraud, and abuse. I just don't think we understood the scale or how blatant it was or how aggressive it was. I do think they're going to prosecute some of these people. I do think Attorney General Bondi is going to be all over this. I know the FBI is investigating. I think, it takes time. I'd like the prosecutions to be announced tomorrow, but they want to make sure they build solid cases. And I think the prosecutions are a necessity because I think unless you prosecute, people will continue to do this stuff. Now, I think there's a downstream effect that I am most interested in, which is I believe that a lot of the corruption that we see in government comes from all this NGO funding. And that gives people an interest in preserving all of these programs. With all of these programs now being exposed, I think a lot of that corruption is going to go away. I think people are scared and they're going to scurry back under their rocks. And I think there's a secondary downstream effect, which is elections. I think a lot of that money was flowing out of the federal government coffers and into the left and then being utilized in election activity. And I think there's going to be a real money crunch on the left as we move into 2026. And I hope that's going to be evident in the results of the elections themselves.
That's well said. There's a biblical principle here, even with Doge. You don't break God's laws break you. and it's so typical. You never get the covers pulled off your sin until it's really maximized. And now the fraud and the fat and just the waste and, quite frankly, the guiltiness of all of this is now being exposed. It's just shocking, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's shocking, but I also think it's really good. And the reason I say it's really good is because it's making the American people angry. And so that creates the encouragement for Doge to keep going, for the prosecutions to take place, and for us to see an actual restoration of the integrity of the system.
Are there statutes on this stuff? I mean, if they get caught in what it was done years ago, is there statute on any of this stuff?
Oh, there's all kinds of statutes on this stuff. And I think just at what I would call the common law level, the basis of our entire system is fraud. It's just these people are defrauding the federal government. They're defrauding the taxpayers. I also think there are RICO charges to be had. A RICO is when you have a cross-national or interstate crimes. You have a network set up to do these crimes, and I think we have that network in the federal government. I also think there's an important aspect to this that most people don't know. If you didn't watch the interview with Brett Baer and the men of Doge, as I call them, I think it's worth watching. And one of the things that I was absolutely shocked by is to hear that the government has a single bank account. Literally, all this money flows out of one bank account at Treasury, and that requests go into Treasury, that there have been no checks and balances on this. Nobody looks to see if these are legitimate requests. That has changed, and every expenditure now coming out of Treasury by check or wire transfer is all checked to make sure the contract's in place, the expenditure is legitimate. Just that, the institution of that reform is absolutely phenomenal and worth the price of admission right now.
Wow. And then we find out yesterday that the border mess was obviously intentional, and they traced it all the way to illegals not only getting a Social Security number, but also getting Medicaid and Medicare, and the fraud that was tied to there. I mean, how in the world did this happen to us?
Well, it happened because it was entirely intentional, and the system, again, our systems are generally set up based on the idea that most people will be honest. And we had a government in place in the Biden administration, and I would argue going all the way back to the Obama administration, that was intentionally dishonest, that looked for loopholes in the systems and ways to take advantage. So they would bring illegal immigrants in, they would cross the border, they would ask for asylum, then they would be instructed how to apply for Social Security. First, how to apply for a Social Security card. They would get a legitimate Social Security number, and then they were coached in how to apply for long-term Social Security disability. Now, once you are approved for long-term disability, that means for life. It means they consider you permanently disabled. That means you're going to get your check forever. You never have to prove it up ever again. So these immigrants, these illegal immigrants, are getting money that will allow them to survive in the United States forever. And what they're doing by this is also creating a permanent voting block. They use those Social Security numbers to go and to be able to register to vote, and then they would register to vote. And Elon Musk and the Doge team claim that they did vote in large numbers. That's yet to be completely exposed yet, but I think we're going to find out. This is a way that the Democrats intended to create a permanent, left-wing voting bloc. Why would you vote for anybody else if they gave you a social security number, money to live on forever, and you know that the other party might want to take that away? You're going to vote Democrat forever. So I think the final stones have yet to be unturned on this scandal.
So, those who actually stamped the approval of this, are they complicit to the crime?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the question is, did they follow the legal procedure that was given to them? And a lot of times those folks in the process, you know, they're just cogs in the machine, and they see somebody with a social security number. You know, there was a whistleblower came out over the last couple of days and said, we were told to interview these people, and they were called clients. They're not just applicants, they're clients. And we were told that our job was to teach them how to get disability. So, you know, it's hard to blame them. I think they should have blown the whistle, but I think probably what they were doing was technically legal.
Wow. Mark, good to see you, friend. Thanks for being there. God bless you. Stay in the fight. Okay, what's the pooch's name on the couch?
That is Doc, and Doc is a 5.5-month-old Great Dane. He's called a Harlequin. That's the black and white pattern. People see him, they think he's full grown. He's 5.5 months old. He's over 90 pounds. I can't even pick him up to weigh him anymore. Probably be 180 pounds when he's all done growing. He, by the way, is named after a guy that you knew, and I know you admired, Senator Tom Coburn, who was a doctor. So his full name is Doc Coburn.
So is that his saddle over your right shoulder?
When he's full grown, maybe. But I always tell him if he's bad, he's going to end up being a footstool for that couch because he's a good man.
God bless you, friend. Thanks for your time.
God bless you, too.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry, LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
It's your time to fly. Let's make it convenient. We are your airport. Fly MFR.
Welcome back, and just wanted to give you an update of our Spring Boost appeal, and thanking so many of you that have called. Some have actually come by. A lot of you online have been supporting the Dove during our Spring Boost appeal, and I just want to say thank you so much for partnering with us and what we do here at the Dove. It's been an interesting time of the season in our life here. And we moved into this building a little over 11 years ago, and it has just been a gift from heaven, and we love it. And we moved in so fast, we didn't do anything to it. We just moved in because we had to at the time. And we're now at the point where we have to fix the building, so to speak, and insulate it, change things around a little bit, make it much more environmentally friendly, not only with heating and air conditioning, but for sound. We are at the airport. Of course, you watch this program at all, you know every once in a while we get interrupted by some noise. Anyway, we have budgeted for this part of the project. What we're asking you to prayerfully consider is helping us with some equipment that we need in order to make the change. And a lot of this equipment just now is slowly, becoming obsolete. In fact, yesterday was so interesting. I share this with you only because it's a little frustrating on my end. But right in the middle of things, one of our main pieces of equipment decided to hiccup. And then when we got into it, we found out that some of the parts that we need to fix it, they don't make anymore. So we have to replace the whole thing. Well, we weren't certainly counting on that. That alone was $27,000. So when you're in the high-tech business like we are, all these pieces of equipment are pretty expensive, but it is the core, the heart, the infrastructure of what we do. So we had a goal of $128,853 of parts that we need and asking you to prayerfully consider helping us with. And as you know, I do not want you to take from your church. We're not here to replace the church. We're here to augment the church and what your pastor is saying, and we're here to support all of that. And if you're involved in a ministry inside your church or outside the church, one of the many impacting parachurch ministries, we want you to stay faithful to that. But we have these needs. We have to replace a firewall, which is a huge system within the IT room. We also found out about a month ago that Google bought out the company that we use for all of our Skype interviews, and that technology will go away May 1st. And we've already been shopping behind the scenes. In fact, yesterday, the invoice was put on my desk, and there it says $4,937. Well, that went up to about $5,700 in order to replace that piece of equipment. We have some software upgrades that we have to do. When we make this remodel switch, we're actually flipping the building, and I don't mean that we're selling it. We're taking the operation from one end of the building and moving it to the other. And the reason for that is primarily for sound control. And we'd like to put in what they call an LED production video wall, which is, this will be an amazing asset to what we do. And it will allow us to do a lot of future production. Right now we're pretty limited. But by having this piece of equipment, we'll be able to produce more programs of our own. We've already replaced the audio board. You see the audio board there? We've already replaced that. We had to. The other one just failed. And that's what happens when you use something as often as we do. So we already replaced that. So we're asking you to prayerfully help us with that. The piece that went down yesterday, I'm already scrambling to figure out how we're going to take care of that. But folks, this is about helping the Dove to do what God called it to do. And that is to be on every media platform out there with the gospel. That's what our calling is. That's what we want to do. We're not the biggest one in the world. We don't intend to be. We just want to be faithful to the area that God has allowed us to broadcast and be a part of. So you can call us anytime at 541-776-5368. There is a little part of that, 541-776-5368, or you can safely and securely go online at theDove.us, and you can support us there. And I say securely because we don't share that with anybody, but only do what the Lord's leading you to do. We've asked for people to prayerfully consider this over a 4-week period. So we're not taking 5 days to just do this live on the air. We're in this process of construction, and that takes time. I've had a lot of people come in over the last couple of weeks and say, when do you plan on being done? Well, we're not planning on a date to be done by. I didn't want the pressure or the disappointment of not meeting those dates. And I told the people that we're working with, we have some great contractors on the scene here, I just want it done right. I don't want to come back and have to fix it again. I don't want to have to deal with this again. I just want it done right. So I don't know, Scott, if you have that picture in there, we can maybe show you what we're doing. But we are insulating the walls for the first time. Now, this building had about an R8 factor in it. So what we had to do was change things around, and when we get done, we'll have about an R78 to R84. What that means is the thickness and the density of the insulation to help us with sound control. We'll be putting it in the ceiling and in the big door as well. And that'll help us not only for sound control, which is long overdue. We've had some very small air conditioning in this building, and it helped a little bit. But in the heat of summer, we still had to let the staff go home because it got so hot in here early. In the wintertime, it wasn't properly insulated, and we couldn't get it warm enough. Well, we're solving all those problems. I'm not here to complain about it. I'm just telling you, we're fixing it. We budgeted for this, and that part of it's coming together. But moving this equipment and making it work is a big deal. In fact, it's interesting as I'm talking, I don't know if you hear a roar behind me, that's an airplane right outside the door. And that's what we're trying to solve, is that problem. And that airplane firing up its engine is probably about 40 feet from me right now. Hear that? There he goes. He's taxiing away. So only do what the Lord's leading you to do. You can call 541-776-5368. You certainly go online at theDove.us. But I just want to say thank you. And you know what, folks? This isn't about buildings. It's not about equipment. I mean, those are tools. It's about the gospel going out. And it's just amazing. In fact, yesterday I got one of the most impacting phone calls from somebody who's been watching the Dove for years and decided to pick up the phone and just call me about what the Dove has meant to them and helped them through a tough time. So that's what we're all about. We wanted to be in your eyes with television, in your ears with radio and all the digital platforms. We wanted to be in your hand with the devotional, the Word for You Today. And when you support the Dove, you make all of that happen. So again, pray about it. Only do what the Lord's calling you to do. And again, over the next 3 weeks or so, just think about it and pray about it and see what the Lord helps you to do. We'll keep you posted on this out here. This is a big deal. This is a big project out here. And I found myself yesterday standing in the middle of the room, working with the electrician over here, the contractor over here, the wall guy over here. We're talking to the plumber over here. I mean, all of a sudden I was in the middle of this room making all these decisions. And even though you plan things out, at the last minute things change or they don't work out or you have a problem and you got to solve all these things on the fly. So that's in the progress. But folks, we couldn't do it without you. And let me just say this as a reminder. It's been pretty consistent for about the last 5 or 6 years that 84% of the Dove's revenue comes from viewers and listeners just like you. So if you're not there, we're not here. And we don't take that for granted. We just value the partnership greatly and thank the Lord that you believe in what we're doing and reaching people. It's amazing. I can't tell you how many people we reach other than finally when something connects, they let us know how the Dove has ministered to them, and perhaps that's been a part of your life as well. So anyway, what you may want to do is just pick up the phone when you feel led to do it. Call us at 541-776-5368, or you can go online at theDove.us and you can support us there. By the way, let me just stop talking. Can you hear that roar? Can you hear that roar, Dan? You hear that? That's what we're trying to solve. That's right outside. In fact, I wish you were in the studio. You know what I'm smelling right now? I'm smelling aviation fuel. Yeah, so that plane's roaring its engine out there. The fumes of that plane's coming into the studio. So we're fixing all that and trying to get rid of it. So call 541-776-5368 or online safely and securely at the Dove. No, I didn't plan that. At theDove.us. Thank you so much. And praying for, supporting, and believing in the mission of the Dove.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
The Dove is upgrading our studios. For the first time, weather and sound insulation, air conditioning, and we're enlarging our studios to produce more local shows. It's been budgeted, but we also need some much-needed equipment to complete the remodel. Our goal is $128,853. Will you prayerfully consider helping us during our spring boost? You can call anytime or donate online safely at thedove.us. Thank you for helping the Dove change lives.
Watch the 700 Club every weekday. We bring you compelling interviews with the information you need for better health, stronger finances, and a more abundant life. Every day you'll hear inspiring stories from right here at home and across the globe. We cover the issues that matter most to you and your family. For thoughtful analysis and insight into the news of the day from a biblical perspective.
Watch the 700 Club Wednesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. And of course, lately we've been kind of scratching our heads. What's going on with Meta? Why is it backing away from censorship, basically Instagram and Facebook? Well, we are so honored to have with us today Bill Walton. He's also known as the Unwoke CEO. He's the host of the Bill Walton Show. He chairs the Resolute Protectors Foundation, which is a 501(c) media production company that creates and produces original educational entertainment content. In 2015, he served as chairman of the Tea Party Patriots. 2016 and 17, he led the agency action and the landing teams for all of the federal economic agencies for Donald J. Trump transition team. He does have a website, BillWaltonShow.com, and there's a picture of the landing page, BillWaltonShow.com. Bill, thanks for your time. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Great seeing you. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Wow, a lot to talk to you about. So what's going on with Meta? Why the switch?
Well, Donald Trump was elected. That's the short answer. We could go. We'll go a lot deeper into it, but yeah, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg's firm was notorious for social media censorship. I mean, they were one of the firms that the White House was talking to directly during the COVID crisis to tell them who to shut down, what to censor, what to enterprise. In fact, Meta went so far, and I think a lot of the other social media companies fell into this, to hire ex-FBI and intelligence service people to be on their payroll. They were that tightly coordinated with the federal government. So, and then we have Mark Zuckerberg, who solemnly comes out 2 years ago to say we would never censor Facebook, would never engage in that activity. And then last week, of course, he comes out and says we've decided to stop censoring. And what's changed? What's changed is, I think Mark's I can't go to the depth of his heart and what his ultimate motivations are, but as a businessman, I think he recognized that people were coming after his business model, and he had to make some big changes to protect himself. And I think he's still probably vulnerable for some of the things he did during the Biden administration.
A couple of things there. He was the only one of the social media CEOs that stood up during that hearing in Congress and turned around and apologized to the family. I think it just...
Nor millions of followers, best friend of Donald Trump, nominated Donald Trump at the Republican committee or convention. But the thing is, during this time, Mark has also taken up the same kind of martial arts. And some people say he's changed a lot, and his confidence level and his personality has changed somewhat because of that involvement. And he has become best friends with Dana White. And I wouldn't say best friends, but they know each other. And he's invited Dana onto his board. You don't put somebody in your boardroom like Dana White, who's sort of next to Donald Trump, the ultimate tough guy, if you don't expect that you're going to be implementing policies that are acceptable to Dana White, who calls himself, after Elon Musk, the ultimate champion of free speech. So yeah, I think there's something going on with Mark, but I don't do motivations all that well, but I'm welcoming the change.
Going from fact-checking organizations now going to community notes system. What's that?
Well, one of the things that they put in place was, and there are people that, and I'm one of them, who criticized Musk for doing this when he was accused of censoring people. He supposedly brought in arm's length independent organizations called fact checkers to monitor what was going on the Facebook platform. And they were, if you look up their pedigree, go on the websites, they are ultimate left-wing progressive sites that really serve to advance the interest of that agenda. What Elon Musk did when he bought Twitter and renamed it X is he got rid of independent fact checkers, and they had some as contractors and some on the payroll, and it went to something called the Community Notes program, where instead of having those people checking posts, he has users of the platform weigh in on what they think about what's being said and actually create a kind of a dialogue group decision about what's true, what isn't. It's a much better way to do it, and it's not perfect, but it's certainly better than the fact checkers they were using. And Mark has evidently the fact checkers have a union, or they have some sort of association, and they had a big meeting last week expressing outrage among themselves that they'd been shut down. Zuckerberg said he's moving with the few remaining people he has at Facebook down to Texas, where he'll hire there in Texas as opposed to San Francisco, where he got mainly kids with purple hair and nose rings. But I'd warn him to stay away from Austin, because the culture in Austin is pretty similar to the culture in San Francisco.
All right, so boy, you've got a lot on the table here. Let me just ask you this: did the move by Musk in changing X, do you think that was influential in Zuckerberg's thinking?
Absolutely. I mean, what Elon Musk did with his $40 billion plus acquisition of Twitter really changed everything. He alone, I think, has changed the landscape for the social media environment. And now that he's proved that model works, he's got, I think, the user satisfaction's gone way up. Of course, the traditional media, which use that as an echo chamber for a lot of what they did, is up in arms because of his changes. I think Musk saw, or I think Zuckerberg saw what was happening with Musk, saw the relationship with Trump, and said, I've got to get on this train.
Do you see the immunity protection going away?
Section 230?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, it's Section 230 is fairly arcane and very difficult to figure out. Actually, I have trouble understanding how I want to think about it. Theoretically, it's supposed to make the platforms an independent of the content on the platform. But as we've seen, your ability to manipulate the content on that platform with these algorithms is almost complete. And so you need to be very well versed in algorithms and the law to know how to get rid of that. But I guess my short answer is no, I don't see 230 going away. It's too complicated, and I don't think there's a vote for any kind of specific change that Congress could come to.
Because I think we have TikTok on the table here too, looking at all this. You kind of wonder, do parents have any protection of their children and what they're exposed to?
Well, I'd say no. I mean, I hate to give the blunt answer, but I think the protection is to, not let them use that device. If you want the ultimate protection, there are ways that using, various blocking apps to limit the content on a phone, but it requires a lot of diligence on the part of parents because an awful lot of bad stuff slips past those blockers. So I think protecting kids from the awful stuff that's on there is very tough.
Okay, I guess the other thing about Mark Zuckerberg's changing direction, I find it interesting that it gives me the feeling he was more in control of his company than we thought. I thought maybe he was just reacting to a board of woke people that want him to go this direction and be censored. But somehow he personally stepped up and took control of his company. It's kind of interesting thing to watch.
It is, isn't it? One of people in the tech community have said he's always been pretty hard to read, introverted, don't really know exactly what he's thinking. And I can't speak to what's happening in his boardroom, but the only thing I do know is that by bringing Dana White into it, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic and presumably positive. I think Mark has always been in charge. Zuckerberg's always been in charge of that board.
Okay. Recently, he has said that the Biden administration was very forceful to him and his company and employees, even to the point of cursing at him. How does that occur?
Yeah. Well, there's a lawsuit. I think it's Missouri v. Biden or Murphy v. Missouri. It changed. There are a couple of them. And in the discovery process in that lawsuit, which involved the censorship that was going on, 3-4 years ago, they got hundreds, if not thousands, of emails from the White House to Facebook and the other social media companies, and also including emails with half a dozen or more other federal agencies, all coordinating the effort to shut down speech that didn't go along with the administration party line. And there's some almost comical emails from one of the guys working in the White House about, in no uncertain terms, telling that Facebook had better do what they're bidding or else they're going to face, I think they actually threatened taking away their 230 protection. I mean, it was that direct, and they were really threatening to kill their business model. Could not have been more intimidating, and it worked.
So, Bill, do you think what they ultimately censored in the past over the last 3 or 4 years, and I kind of narrowed it down to 3 areas, primarily COVID issues, Hunter Biden issues, and Russiagate and Trump issues. There was censorship across the board on those 3 topics. Now they're admitting that they did censor and they don't want to censor anymore. So do you think what they did censor will eventually come out?
Well, that's one of the hopes with somebody like Kash Patel coming in to run Treasury, or not Treasury, but
FBI,
the IRS, and with some of the other people, Tulsi Gabbard coming in to head up the intelligence agencies, and obviously Trump in the White House, and a lot of other people inside those administrative cabinet positions that are going to be interested in this. All of our hope is that one of the things that Donald Trump will do within the next month or 2 or 3 of being inaugurated is to put all this out there so that we can get away from a deep state, secretive federal government. I have a hope. What always happens, though, these people get into these big jobs, and then all of a sudden they get surrounded by people who say, well, we know we'd really like to do that too, but there's this consideration and that consideration. And I hope this doesn't get shut down by bureaucratic timidity, although I don't think Trump is likely to fall victim to that.
A lot of this is also going to maybe be a result of DOGE doing its thing.
Oh, Doge. Department of Government Efficiency. Now, government efficiency, those 2 words don't often
That is an oxymoron.
What a ring to it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I haven't read the piece yet, but there's something in the Journal today, something I've thought for quite a while, is that Trump, in picking Elon to do this and Vivek, and Musk in particular, is not just a marketing genius and all the other things. He's a technical genius, a business process genius. And, my hope is that he's going to, and a lot of the tech community is volunteering to work for Doge for free. And my hope is they get into each one of these agencies and start looking not just at, the traditional cost cutting, the way an accountant would look at it, but instead they're going to look at business processes and all sorts of ways these organizations function. And they're going to find lots of opportunities to ferret out. There are a lot of activities these organizations are involved in they shouldn't even be doing, and I think that's what Doge will likely discover.
It's interesting to me, looking at the people for his cabinet, these are people that know how to read a balance sheet. They know what an ROI is. We haven't seen that.
Yeah, they do. I mean, if you look, let's do the Biden cabinet. How many people in the Biden cabinet had any private sector experience?
Zero.
Yeah. I think maybe Pete Buttigieg would claim his consulting was private sector, but anybody who's worked with a consultant is dubious about that claim. So nobody. And now we're going from that to a Doug Burgum or to a Chris Wright at Energy. Yeah. We've got some people who really know how this works. And then at the heart of the matter, we've got Russ Vought, who is going to be heading up Office of Management and Budget, who knows what he did the job last time. And he's coming in, with that experience, but also 4 years working with Trump to figure out what to do next. We've got some very smart people on our team.
One last question. The foundation, what is it your foundation does?
Well, the Resolute Protector produces my show. I'm involved in a lot of organizations. I'm vice chairman of CPAC. I've been on the board of Heritage, and a lot of, you mentioned the Tea Party Patriots. But there are a lot of organizations that need cash to help put out their.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
If you enjoy the Dove TV, tell a friend or family member. If they can't receive a signal, the Dove streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at thedove.us. Help encourage someone who needs hope. Spread the word about the Dove TV. You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for Bend and Central Oregon. Seen on KBND 14 and these Dove TV affiliates.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Good morning to you. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Paulina is back, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A little leftover weather as we head towards the weekend a little bit. It will improve. By the way,
have a different background?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It changes, huh?
Isn't that pretty?
It is.
We have a lot of spring ones. Isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
All
like
those
it.
pretty flowers, yeah. Anyway, I talked to Jerry yesterday. He's doing much better. He hopes to get back up to Mount Ashland.
When? Next season, huh?
I don't know.
He already has goals. No, good for Jerry.
He wants to.
He never
He wants to
stops.
go up there, and I said, "Well, you may go alone, stay alone, and end up being alone up there." Anyway, no, he's doing really well. As you know, he broke his leg first day of spring vacation skiing, and on a freak accident. Most accidents are freak, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's doing really well. He's doing well. His energy's back. He's doing some work from home, which is good. That probably keeps him out of mischief.
But I know a lot of people are praying for Jerry. I heard from some of the viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
They're messaging, so you're in good prayerful hands, Jerry.
Yeah, and he's doing well. He's kind of on the stage where I can do this, and I go, Jerry, chill, baby, chill.
Yeah, it is a lot quieter at the Dove without him.
Oh, it is.
I have to say that.
You know, and when Jerry's in the house, you know exactly where he is. He's over here. No, he's over there. No, he's over here.
Except for.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday, second day of April. Today is the Great Liberation Day. Did you know that?
I did know that. We previewed it yesterday. You remember, Prophet?
It's going to happen today at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, so it's 1 o'clock West Coast time. We're going to be liberated from something. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, but a lot of countries are already reacting to that.
Yeah.
You know, dropping their tariffs against us.
So we'll see what happens. The president's going to make his big speech coming up at 1 o'clock, so we'll talk about that later. Anyway, good morning to you. Anything special today?
Yes, well, it's a day that I'm sure you would love to celebrate because you like to walk. And today is National Walking Day. The American Heart Association encourages us to take a break, lace up our sneakers, and go for a 30-minute walk at least. It's a simple way to boost heart health and clear the mind. So follow the advice of Mr. Atkinson here, who loves to walk without any devices.
Well, I take my phone, but I don't plug in. I only take it in case something
Just
happens.
in case you get lost, we need to find
Yeah, if I get lost, I need to find where. But basically, stick it in your pocket. Don't put your pods in. Just walk. And you know what you may want to consider doing? Talking to God. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because He
When
will
you're in
talk
nature.
back.
He does.
Yeah.
It's amazing. All right, next, what?
Paulina.
Yes.
I'm trying to get a hold of you.
I don't think you're
Pick up the phone, Paulina.
I don't think you're God. All right, next up, it's National Do-It-Yourself Day. So whether you're tackling a home project or crafting something creative or learning a new skill, today is all about the joy of doing it yourself. So grab those tools and get building whatever it is that you have in mind. There's so many different tutorials, videos these days. So it really is a trend for people to do things themselves, whether it's a sewing project or whatever, making something for the house. So today is your project day. Also, we are observing Child Help National Day of Hope. Now, this day raises awareness about child abuse and reminds us to support organizations that protect and advocate for vulnerable children. And together we can, as always, make a difference. And every region of the United States has those organizations. Here in Oregon, we have amazing Family Nurturing Center and CASA and Hearts with a Mission, Youth for Christ. All these organizations support kids at different stages in their life.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So finally, we've arrived. It's Peanut Butter Jelly Day.
Oh, I just had some.
Oh, you did?
On a half of a
bagel?
Bagel.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So however you want to prepare it, this classic sandwich has been a favorite for generations dating back to the early 1900s. And then by 1920s, it became actually a household staple. And during World War II, it was even included in soldiers' rations. So today, guess how many sandwiches you eat before you graduate school?
Wow. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
Yeah, by the time an American graduates high school, you've consumed about 2,000 sandwiches. I don't know who calculates. It's a lot. It is a staple. So why not celebrate, whether it's on a bagel, on a piece of toast, however you want to do it.
I toasted a half a bagel and put some peanut butter and jelly on it this morning to settle my tum-tum, and it works.
Is your tum-tum settled?
It's talking to me a little bit, but it's okay. Yeah, good. All right. Good morning to you. Happy second day of April, and boy, a lot going on in the news. But here's a guy that just will not quit.
With continued showery conditions across the top of our region and chilly overnight temperatures, today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, showers likely mainly this afternoon with daytime highs in the low to mid-50s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with showers likely mainly after 1 p.m. with daytime high temperatures in the low 50s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene, with snow levels rising from 2,200 feet to around 3,000 feet. In central Oregon, partly to mostly sunny skies for Prineville and Bend with daytime highs in the mid to upper 40s and Sun River near 41. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny with a high near 53 and a light west wind. Along the Oregon coast, showers likely with daytime high temperatures in the low 50s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. A chance of showers and breezy with daytime highs near 52 in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, isolated showers in near 53 in Grants Pass, partly sunny in Medford with a high near 53 and Ashland near 50. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny with a daytime high temperature near 47. Into northern California, partly sunny with a high near 49 in Wairika, sunny with highs near 63 in Redding and Chico, sunny in Sacramento with a high near 64 and a light northwest wind this afternoon. In the Bay Area, sunny with daytime highs near 63 in Santa Rosa and Napa, sunny in San Francisco with a high near 61 and a northwest wind gusting up to 23 miles per hour, and today in San Jose, sunny, breezy, and near 62. It's a look at your Wednesday weather on the Dove.
Hi, good morning to you. There's a Wednesday shot of Mount Ashland, those watching on the Dove radio. A few snow flurries, not much. That could be just snow falling from the trees. And it is white everywhere. Parking lot, everything. And it is closed today. And I just got a text from Mount Ashland's #1 PR director, Jerry Bilden. He said, good morning, tell Paulina that I'd love to go for a walk today, but that ain't going to happen.
No, not today, Jerry.
Not today, Jerry.
What are you doing up anyway?
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
Well, that's a good sign.
That he's up?
Yeah.
Watching.
Well, yeah, he's the meds are wearing off. Anyway, good morning to you.
Good morning. Well, we've been talking about talking to God on the walk or whatever, whenever you have some moments today of silence where you can actually turn to God and talk to Him. Ann Graham Lotz has a message for us about Father's house.
Welcome to my Father's house. I'm Ann Graham Lotz, and this is the home where I was raised. I love this old log cabin that's nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains of western North Carolina. Thank you for joining me here. And you've been on my heart. And I'm not sure why, but I've wondered if perhaps it's because you're experiencing pain. And it may be that you're experiencing emotional pain, or physical pain, or spiritual pain, or mental pain of some sort. Perhaps you're just facing problems that are larger than you can handle. Or maybe you're just under enormous pressure and stress. Could it be that you're facing death, either your own death or the death of a loved one, or perhaps the living death that we call divorce? Maybe you're wrestling with depression, or you've been diagnosed with some dreadful disease. Perhaps you're elderly and you're facing the time when you step into eternity and you're apprehensive about what's out there, or maybe you're a teenager and you're scared of what the future holds. Well, I have wonderful good news to share with you. You can look forward with